Joining us now, Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, I'm throwing my pen on the floor here because I'm so interested. But let me ask you this. I say last night, Biden did just good enough to save his candidacy. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's the bad news for Democrats, Brian, right? You're exactly right. There are many on the left that want to see Joe Biden leave the stage, but let's say he got a C- last night. Not exactly the grade you run home to show mom and dad in the fourth grade, but it was good enough to keep that rising tide of calls for him to step aside from growing in any real substantial way. His closest allies, for example, like former Chief of Staff Ron Klain, his entire existence, Klain, by the way, revolves and always has around Joe Biden being in power. He went to social media and said, all right, guys, the freak out's over. You saw how well he did. Right. Joe Biden must be the nominee, right? So if he's saying that, then that's what Biden is hearing. And we know that that's what we're hearing from Dr. Jill Biden and Hunter Biden and others who want the president to stay in power, not because they think he's the best man for the job, but because, you know, they benefit as a result.
Well, we also know that just because you say something doesn't necessarily make it true. So Ron Klain can say that, but I was watching last night, too. I didn't think it looked great for the president, Joe. So I want to ask you this, because when it comes to the American people, they have spoken. In one of our latest polls, it shows that 67% of the voting pool is essentially saying that he's unfit to be president and that he should step down. And so I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about the swing states. We can put up the map there. Pennsylvania is one of the ones that Trump won in 2016. He won it against Hillary Clinton. He lost it to Scranton Joe in 2020. But look at Pennsylvania, his home state. He's trailing by 5 points. This man can't win. How can the Democrats put up a candidate that they know now in July is going to lose?
And that's the thing. You see those states up there, right? Trump leading in all of them. But also, Florida is gone. Remember when that used to be a swing state? Right. Or Ohio is gone. And North Carolina looks to be gone at this point. Nevada, he is up huge. Arizona, that Donald Trump lost by a very slim margin, that is seemingly going further into his direction, as is Georgia. But then there's other states that I don't think Joe Biden or his campaign, quite frankly, are nimble enough to defend, that are also now in the swing state category. Maine, for example, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Virginia, New Mexico. I mean, these have been in the conversation for decades, and now we're seeing those basically as essential dead heats. But in terms of last night, the two memes that are making their way most around social media right now are photos of Vice President Trump and photos of Ukrainian President Putin. Right. So no matter what Biden said about NATO, everything else, those are the two takeaways, and that's what debates or press conferences come down to. One or two moments that resonate beyond 60, 90 minutes of analysis afterwards.
Well, so you brought up debates. A lot of Democrats and folks are saying, well, maybe he's going to pull out of the September debate if he is still the candidate by then. Now, he says he's committed, though he also did challenge Trump to a golf tournament and then walked that back. I mean, if he doesn't, what do you think the reaction from the American people would be? Don't they deserve to see these two go at it again?
Oh, Kelly, I would pay big money to see that golf tournament. I mean, wouldn't that be great? 18 holes, Fox Sports. Let's do this, please. I have a feeling, and if DraftKings took this, I would go back there and place a bet there for the first time and be like, hey, I think I like Trump in this one. I'll lay 74 strokes. Anyway, look, to answer your question, Kelly, if Joe Biden were to drop out of that debate, that guarantees a Trump landslide. Whoever is offering this advice should consider, updating their LinkedIn page and practice this question in the mirror over and over again. Do you want fries with that? Why would you ever advise Joe Biden not to do that debate? There is zero upside because it can't possibly go worse than it did in June. You got to think that he would be a little more mentally ready this time around, knowing the stakes and knowing what happened last time. So he absolutely has to show up because he'll look weak, he'll look cowardly. And given that those swing states that we just talked about and the others that he has to defend, how could they possibly say, oh, he's not going to debate, he's afraid of Trump? Yeah, that's my guy. I'm going to vote for the one running scared, Brian. Come on.
Well, I did hear Gretchen Whitmer say maybe he shouldn't debate. Now, she also has a book that just came out, so I don't know, there could be a little campaign strategy by her going on there. Joe, we got to leave it there. Good to see you, and we'll keep an eye out for that golf match.
Stay cool, guys. I'm about to go play in an hour, so I'll report back with my score. I plan to shoot 64, but that's the front nine.
Good stuff.
All right, Joe. Thank you.